My name is Reverend Catherine Lyle, and I would like to welcome you to our sanctuary at First Presbyterian Church. We are here to remember and celebrate the life of a great father, a loving husband, a strong community leader, a close friend, our friend, Dave Pietz. It is our hope that every part of this service will honor the vibrant and thoughtful life that his life of service lived among us. Let me express the family's gratitude for your presence. The journey of grief is long, and those who walk it should not have to walk it alone. In times like these, nothing takes the place of family and friends. Your presence and time taken to be here in their state of grief and provide security is invaluable. We are remembering how valuable he was to others and shows what an impact his living and dying has made in our lives and our communities. We honor a man who touched and supported many. Please join me in prayer. Our Holy Father in heaven, we open this time in your sanctuary with conflicted hearts. We carry deep sorrow for our loss and yet sincere rejoicing that he is with you, enjoying a forest we can only imagine. We know that he has departed into your care, and you, being both his creator and his potter, is with him now, and he is truly free from the brokenness and human deterioration of this world. Through your grace, he continues to learn in heaven and is reunited with those who have gone before him. We lament not having more time with him on this side of the veil, and we ask you, Creator, to help focus our minds on the blessings and goodness through the gospel, the music, and his eulogy. Please direct our thoughts to fond memories of our departed friend and family member. Let the people speak of the ways he has positively impacted their lives, and let us rejoice over every testimony, knowing that his life was a life well lived. Let us forgive all wounds not yet mended and celebrate the gifts he brought to each of us. Amen. Our first scripture reading comes from Ecclesiastes verses 1 through 11a. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up which was planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh and that wherein he laboreth? I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He has made everything beautiful in his time. Also he has set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. You'll notice in your pews there is a blue hymnal. We'd like to invite you to sing with us in this next song. It is usually, if you're in the comfy seats, they're right underneath in 364. And we're going to sing all the verses. I sing a song of the saints. Please stand in body or spirit as you would prefer.
I Oh, good morning, everyone. I meant to be here early, and I was just made it on time. So glad to see so many people here today. So I'm going to talk about Dave and read his eulogy. Hiker, master naturalist, humanitarian, and beloved father, husband, brother, uncle, Dave Allen Pietz, 83, of Littleton, Colorado, passed away on November 18th, 2025, after a brief illness. Dave was born on April 30th, 1942, in Spokane, Washington, the son of Roy Clayton Pietz and Olive Irene Miller Pietz. He grew up in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. He graduated from Bonners Ferry High School in 1960 and went on to receive a bachelor's degree in business from Eastern Washington University. Dave married Ellen Hook on January 14th, 1970, and lived in Bay Village, Ohio, divorcing in 1998. He married Lynn Perdue on December 21st, 2002, and they spent nearly 23 happy years in Albuquerque, Sandpoint, and Denver. He spent his career at Energizer, focusing on transportation and environmental compliance. After retirement in 1998, he worked as a consultant for many years and also became heavily involved in nonprofit work, a strong passion of his. His nonprofit work included establishing a chapter of Family Promise in Albuquerque, which funds transitional housing for homeless families. This chapter he founded has served 500 families since 2003. He also worked to support the food security of people living in the nearby Navajo reservation. In Sandpoint, he and his friend Rich Kratal started the Community Resource Envision Center, which helps people in need connect to services to overcome obstacles they are facing. He also served as an advisor to other organizations, helping the disadvantaged. Even during his last weeks in hospital, he talked of starting a new nonprofit in Denver. Energizer Bunny, right? Dave had a love of nature. He was a hike leader in the New Mexico Mountain Club, which is where he met Lynn. And while a member of that club, this is absolutely unbelievable, he climbed 19 mountains over 14,000 feet high. Does that just give you chills? That's amazing. He was also active in the Monday Hikers Club in Sandpoint and a hiking group in Bonners Ferry, and was a frequent hiker on Scotchman's Peaks. He was proud of having received his certificate as a master naturalist, and enjoyed taking part in a study on the grizzly bear population. Dave also lobbied legislators for legal protection for the Scotsman Peaks and fought to limit the transportation of volatile materials through Sandpoint. So, on another note, he loved to travel, touring Europe while in college, and in retirement traveling with Lynn to Europe, Asia, and Africa. Dave was a member of the First Presbyterian Church in Sandpoint and served on the session board and the Earth Care committees. Dave was a warm and wonderful parent and grandparent who loved spending time with his 5 grandchildren and traveling around the world to see them. Dave is survived by his wife, Lynn, sons Russell and Matthew, grandchildren Sebastian, Kamala, Marie, Con, and Everin, brothers Ken and Wayne, niece and nephew, Jeff, Janine, and Lynn's children, John and Merrill, John Whittington and Merrill Kingsbury. Dave was preceded in death by his parents and brother Gordon. And now I want to share with you something. Dave and Lynn were both very integral parts of our adult Christian education group. And that group wanted to recognize Dave. And so we put this wall hanging together. See if I get it the right side up. To represent Dave. And the things around here around the outside are called flying geese. And in memory of that, I want to read a poem called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. So, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. This quilt is presented in memory of Dave Pietz, a beloved member of the First Presbyterian Church. We will always remember Dave as a person who walked the walk, who saw people where they were, who was an activist, an organizer, quiet leader, nature lover, hiker, and a man who put his faith, I was just looking at Lynn, I can't do that, in action. He showed up. Dave saw people where they were. He had a generous spirit, was present, empathetic, compassionate, and most of all, our friend. And all of that is on the back of the quilt. The wall hanging. So that's for you, Lynn.
Thank you, Sharon. It's not easy to share a eulogy when you really love somebody. I have another writing here from Paul Graves. He was good friends with Dave and Lynn. So they are watching, Sue Graves, they are watching via live stream, so hello. I have a quick memory to introduce this. When we bought our home in Ponder Point, I was the Methodist pastor there, just one church, and I was excited to get my hands dirty and work on a house. And Paul Graves and Dave and Lynn and Sue showed up, and they kind of reminded me of this cute, like, high school couple going on a doubles date. I was outside in work clothes with paint and mess all over me, which if you see me in the grocery store, that's my normal. And they show up, and they just wanted to see the new house, and they had a home out there, and they wanted to see and hear all the work and meet me. But it was cute. Paul and Dave were in the front row, and the girls were in the back, and they were just out cruising Sandpoint. And anyway, I just have to introduce Paul's letter. Dave and Lynn Pietz became good friends of ours when they first moved to Sandpoint and became part of our United Methodist Church family. I was quickly impressed with Dave's compassion for people and his willingness to get involved in ways to put that compassion into action. He and Rich Creedall began the Sandpoint Resource Center many years ago, and I remember one of those early months when I visited their tiny office on the second floor in the Gardenia Center. Dave was there by himself waiting to answer the phone to help if a caller needed some kind of assistance. And I was impressed with that kind of hopeful persistence. Dave always seemed to have that characteristic. I hoped before he and Lynn moved to Littleton that he was able to get a good sense of how the fledgling Sandpoint Resource Center has evolved into the much more complex, multi-layered Community Resource and Vision Center. And I hope he would be proud of what he and Rich began years ago. We didn't lose contact with the Pietz after they became involved at First Presbyterian Church. The other brief memory I wanted to share is that Sue and I often shared Thanksgiving dinner with Dave and Lynn. Sometimes it was at the Trinity restaurant. Often it was one at one of our homes. Our last Thanksgiving dinner was pretty untraditional. For some reason, neither Sue nor Lynn wanted turkey and the usual trimmings. Sue impulsively suggested manicotti. Lynn agreed, and so the four of us enjoyed manicotti shaped like a turkey. And as I remember, and very tasty holiday dinner, the four of us were usually up for trying something or thinking something different. We miss our thoughtful and hopeful conversations with Dave, but expect to continue them with Lynn. At this time, I'd like to invite Katie. You ready to share? I would use the mic. It'll live stream better. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Katie Bagalki, and I am carrying on that hopeful spark that Dave began at the Community Resource and Vision Center. And Paul, thanks for, I don't know where you are, Paul. Thank you for that in your letter. But so I just want to share that it's with heavy hearts that we're saying goodbye to our co-founder, our friend, and someone whose simple acts of compassion helped shape everything we are as an organization today. The Envision Center didn't start in a boardroom. It started when Dave and his friend Rich helped a local veteran with something as small and as meaningful as their cell phone. That single moment lit a spark of service that grew into a place where thousands would one day find help, hope, and direction. Since opening our doors, we have served 5,569 individuals. But what Dave understood so deeply is that the true impact can't be measured in numbers. It's the ripple effect. It's the children, the parents, the coworkers, and the neighbors whose lives are steadied because one person received help at the right moment. That widening circle of care is his legacy. On a personal note, one of my favorite memories of Dave is how he would wander into my office, pause at the big world map on my wall, and start telling me stories about his sons, about his time in Albuquerque, and about the places that life has taken him. Every visit ended the same way. He would always take a business card and remind me of my name. And then more often than not, he'd quietly leave a small check on my desk. Those moments were simple, but they were pure Dave, curious, generous, and kind without needing recognition. His light is woven into the Envision Center. It is in the conversations we have with families every day, in the volunteers who show up ready to serve, and in partnership built on compassion instead of competition. Whether people knew Dave's name or not, they have felt the impact of his heart. To Dave's family, thank you for sharing him with us. His legacy will continue to ripple throughout this community for years to come. Because Dave reminded us of something simple and profound. You don't need a grand plan to change a life. You just need the courage to care. And because he cared, thousands of lives are changed today. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Ready? At this time, the choir would like to sing For the Beauty of the Earth. This time we're going to invite the family forward. Matt, are you ready? Yeah? Okay, you're good. Okay.
Contrary to the program, we're going to go in birth order. I am Russell David Pietz. I want to acknowledge Dave's brothers who couldn't be here today, Ken and my Aunt Josette of Houston, and our Uncle Wayne in Seattle. My Aunt Margie had an unexpected illness Thanksgiving week and is due to be discharged from hospital today. Both Ken and Wayne were able to spend time with my dad in Denver in his final days. My dad loved this area, was so proud to have grown up here, and then to have come back and lived so much of his later life here. I think you all know how much he loved this place. Within minutes of meeting my dad, you would find out. In fact, all around the world, there are thousands of cashiers, booksellers, waiters, baristas, toll booth attendants who learned without having to ask that Dave Pietz grew up in Bonners Ferry, Boundary County, Idaho. It is certainly a beautiful place, maybe not today, but it is also a place that makes for good people. And he would warmly thank you, good people, his friends, for coming today. As a parent, you know that your kids don't really listen to all the brilliant things you say. It's your actions that they pay attention to. For instance, I don't remember Dad giving me some big lecture about the importance of work. But growing up in Bay Village as an early teen, I had 2 paper routes. I don't recall even wanting one, but I had 2. I don't think any of my friends had jobs at that age, but I did. Every Sunday he would help me, loading up the car with stacks of Cleveland Plain dealers to deliver to the neighborhood around Juneway Drive. In high school, I moved into the world of the grocery store stock boy. One night he came into the store. I don't remember him coming into the store much, but one night he came in and asked if I could help him in the parking lot, some issue with the car or something. Nothing serious, I can't remember what it was, and I went and asked my manager if I could, and he said, of course, go help him. And I just remember him saying kind of, not to me, but just kind of out loud, how proud he was of having his son who was a working person, a working young man. I think because of his less than successful stint as an engineering major at the University of Idaho, he was thrilled with my success at Purdue. I worked internships every summer and worked some semesters. It was just kind of understood that that's what I would do, even when I might have wanted some time off. He always kept pushing me forward and gave me the gift of graduating college with almost no debt. He was a very ethical person. Back in my teens, we must have been talking about the Browns or something like that, and he told me that he'd been offered tickets to the game by one of the trucking companies he worked with in his job as a distribution manager at Energizer. My excitement was quickly dashed when he said that he couldn't take a gift like that. It would be unethical. I think he kind of delighted in telling me he'd also been offered an NFL football, but refused that too. I clearly remember thinking a football, you couldn't even take just a football. Similarly, back in the 80s, we had cable TV, just a basic package, but we were getting HBO, which was awesome. But he said he was going to call the cable company and tell them that we were getting it without paying for it. That shocked me so much that I still haven't forgotten it. He didn't have to make speeches about ethics and values. He showed Matt and I by his example, an example I'm still trying to live up to. I want to thank Catherine and the church staff and volunteers for everything they've done today. A note about the reception back here that we hope you'll attend. There's some great soups available, and if unfortunately though I haven't seen any crackers, because if you want to have a tribute to my father, you need to put some crackers on your soup. I said that wrong, not some crackers. You need to put so many crackers on your soup that it looks like you're eating a giant bowl of crackers. So, along with learning where he grew up, every waiter and waitress learned that they had to bring my dad extra crackers. After Dad died last month, Matt and I went through his stuff and his papers, which I think Matt is going to reference. They show that he was a man always looking to improve himself, to be a better person, to appreciate life, to expand his spiritual understanding. One of the things we found looks like what Dad wrote subsequent to his father, Roy's passing in 1995. There's a note at the bottom that says, "This is an outline of my tribute to Dad at his funeral service. Dave." And I'm going to close by reading some of what he wrote in his distinctive left-handed script. A great measure of what I do in life is based on what training I have received from, what training and examples I have received from Dad. I have found myself many times remembering an instance from the past in connection with my present life. The day when I received the call at the Albuquerque airport, I was on one of my own spiritual journeys. Dad, you and I took separate journeys that day, both of a spiritual nature. As I worked through the next 2 days, I received much support from the Navajo people, highlighted by one evening when the local minister and a Navajo man and his wife prayed with me in a circle. The Navajo man led and prayed for me, my family, and my father. Some of the recollections I referred to relate to being a child, father, grandfather, husband. As a husband, I think of a time when I was very young and we went to a cabin in Idaho during the winter. It's hard to remember exactly, but I recall that Dad and Mom were holding each other very close. And then this is just kind of a fragment here. Grandfather example. Fishing with Russell at 12, I don't know if this means 12 noon. or something. It says 12 noon. I do remember fishing with my grandfather and my dad in Washington. I hope to be a grandfather someday. I am thankful for Dad's life and his impact on me. I believe that life and death are part of an unending process. I know that Dad had a strong faith in God, and I take great comfort in that.
Thank you, Russell, the big brother. All right, are you ready? Yeah, okay.
I thought we agreed, Russ, that our remarks were going to be kind of casual and even disorganized, so now I see why you wanted to go first. Like Russ said, our dad did not talk a lot about morals and values in a preachy, didactic way. Not to denigrate preaching while I'm standing in a pulpit, but you know what I mean. He didn't make speeches. He didn't say things so directly most of the time. And in fact, for our childhood, he was really a much quieter guy than most of you probably knew him as. He became very chatty later in life, but he was just quiet. He was a quiet person, introverted for a long time. And so when he said something, it landed. And when I was 16, I remember very clearly, we were in the living room, and seemingly to me out of nowhere, he said, you can't just work for money in this world. You have to do something to give back. It's not enough. And being 16, I was not receptive to that message. It's like, really? I have to work and do? Even working seemed like. But I think it did land, like Russ has said in his own story. I think a lot of my choices that I thought were my choices were shaped by his example, things he said and a lot of things he didn't say. I volunteered from age 12 at the nature center in town, both the nature, and the volunteering. I had a paper route as well. And my work, my career has been advising and working with nonprofits. As well. So both of us, I think, were really shaped by him. One thing that was really special for me in high school was working with Appalachian Service Project, something he wanted to do, so I went along with him. If you may know it, it's a project that goes and run through churches. They go to communities in Appalachia and make houses warmer, safer, and drier. And 1 year we did that, and the community to thank, the church group held a picnic, and there was arrow shooting and banjo picking and barbecue. It was really that community living their normal life, but from us, from Northern Ohio at the time, it was a totally different cultural experience. It really made a huge impression on me, and I spoke to my dad about it when he was in hospice on the day before he passed away. And he really remembered it and responded to it. He wasn't able to say much at that point, but he really woke up and looked at me. And I know that was a big memory for him and one for me. Sometimes you don't know when something that you're doing is one of the most important things you'll ever do, one of the best days of your life. I know that his work with Envision was also really important, and as a nonprofit person myself, I can't miss this opportunity. I think he would appreciate it to fundraise for them and mention that there is an event tonight at the Hive, and if you can't make it, I think Katie will also accept stacks of unmarked bills. And as Russ said, my dad was always trying to improve himself, and he was not loud about that either. It was really only in going through his papers after he passed away a few weeks ago that I I kept finding things that he had saved or even written down that were meaningful to him and important to him. He had a book of devotions, it's out by his photographs out there in the lobby, that he referred to every day. And he was actively working to make himself a better person. And he liked to write things down on colorful bits of paper that I kept finding. You know, there'd be like 10 documents from Merrill Lynch, and then 3 maps of the Swiss Alps, and then a yellow piece of paper with thoughts. So I just want to share a couple of those. One was a list of what needs to be done. This list is just called What Needs to Be Done because I think it represents his life better than I ever could. Help organizations that help the improvement of people's lives who are struggling with food, shelter, and good life situations. Give support to groups who are protective of the natural world. Connect with children. Give them the support they need in their lives. Do best to stay in good health and to go and as able to go outside and try to maintain and improve loving relationship with Lynn. And then a couple of things he carried in his wallet. One was, to accept our own imperfection is to make a giant step towards peace of mind. He was thinking about and wanting to improve on his imperfections, you know, even at 83. Before closing with one last piece of paper, I want to also just say that he was just a loving father and a loving grandfather. You know, he came and visited us. We lived in a couple of places outside the U.S., and me and my family, and he would always come to visit us, and it was to travel, but he really showed all the time what he really wanted was to see his grandkids and to spend time, you know, with us. We were in Cairo once, and, you know, we had a day that was not planned, and I said, Dad, do you want to see the pyramids you haven't seen? Do you want to go to the Egyptian Museum? Should we do a Nile cruise? And he said, well, if you're really asking me what I want to do, why can't we just go to the playground and I'll push your kids on the swing again? That's really what he wanted to do. So here is a numbered list with no explanation, just a numbered list in his own handwriting from his wallet. Gratitude, hope, compassion, patience, love, laughter, generosity.
Echoing Dave's list, we're hoping to share with you 1 Corinthians 13, verses 5 through 13. Love is patient and kind. It is not jealous or conceited or proud. Love is not ill-mannered or selfish or irritable. Love does not keep a record of wrongdoings. Love is not happy with evil. It is happy with the truth. Love never gives up, and its faith, hope, and patience never fail. Love is eternal. There are inspired messages, but they are temporary. There are gifts of speaking in strange tongues, but they will cease. There is knowledge, but it'll pass. For our gifts of knowledge and of inspired messages are only partial. But when what is perfect comes, then what is partial will disappear. When I was a child, my speech, feelings, and thinking were all those of a child. Now that I am an adult, I have no more use for childish ways. What we see now is like a dim image in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. What I know now is only partial. Then it will be complete as God's knowledge of me. Meanwhile, these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is... Please stand in body and spirit as you're able. Now, this next is not in a hymnal. It's over at the Methodist Church. But he loved it so much, we're singing it today with you all. This is called "This Is My Song," and it's printed in your bulletin, and it's a simple tune you'll pick up quite well. You may be seated. Lynn had shared with me that John wanted the world to not be afraid of the dark. The dark was simply different, not bad. Something God gives us to lessen some of the senses and discover our other senses we often dismiss when we're in the light. One such book he loved was titled "Learning to Walk in the Dark" by Barbara Brown Taylor. And in it she writes, "I have learned things in the dark that I could never have learned in the light, things that have saved my life over and over again, so that there is really only one logical conclusion. I need darkness as much as I need light. New life starts in the dark, whether it is a seed in the ground, a baby in the womb, or Jesus in the tomb. It all starts in the dark." Dave encouraged us to learn to walk through the dark and grief as an experience that lends us open to new seeds, new life, and to not be afraid, but rather choose a life of curiosity. Choose to live in this time of darkness for our country and our world. Choose to be the seeds of life that Dave and his Savior Jesus was for others. Choose to germinate, sprout, and grow love wherever the Spirit of God blows you. Classically, one of our first apostles, John, writes, "I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be afraid or troubled. In this space, dear gracious God, we ask for peace and healing and rest for your beloved children, beloved family, and friends of Dave. Go and glorify God by living a life full of love, joy, peace, and forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Take time to love one another by getting to know each other. And when you're out in creation, give thanks to God for this wonderful opportunity to explore, learn in this life, and for the opportunity to love and walk alongside Dave. Join us downstairs and share your own stories and that bittersweet moment of friendship and loss. Go in peace, beloved children of God. Amen.